Hello friends, how are you? I hope you're all in great condition. So today, we will learn about simple sentence with past tense. What is simple sentence with past tense? Are you guys curious too? Okay, without any further ado, let's get started. Simple sentence with past tense. What is it? Sentence consists of only one independent clause, subject plus V in its past form. Examples: I went overseas. I, subject. Went, verb. This is simple sentence because it only has one subject and one verb. I went overseas to see my old friend. I, subject. Went, verb. This is simple sentence because it only has one subject and one verb. I went to Japan, visited the famous shrine and bought lots of souvenirs. I, subject. Went, visited, bought, compound verb. This is also a simple sentence because it only has one subject and one verb, but in the form of compound verb. Amy and I went overseas for scholarship. Amy, I, compound subject. Went, verb. This is also a simple sentence because it only has one subject, but in the form of compound subject and one verb. Amy and I went overseas. We took scholarship in Australia. Amy, I, compound subject. Went, verb. We, subject. Took, verb. This is not simple sentence because it has two subject and two verb. Past tense has many types. They are past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous.
Simple past tense. Basic form of past tense, sometimes called the preterite, is used to talk about finished action, states or habits in a time before now, the past. Action duration is not important. Main situations to use: with and without time expression. With, I called him last week. Without, I cooked dinner. Recent and distant past. Recent, she visited me yesterday. Distant, she lived in London a long time ago. One or many actions. 1. I talked to the manager. Many, I washed my hands, wore mask, and did social distancing. Adverbs of time. Example: this morning, last night, yesterday, yesterday morning, 2 days ago, in 2000. Can be written at the beginning and or even in the middle of a sentence. Example: last month, my friend and I went shopping together. My younger cousin was born in 2012. Alula always came to my house. Maura's grandma was so pretty when she was Maura's age. Next, verb spelling. Regular verb. Verb ended in ed or d in its past tense form. First, ends in consonant. Adds ed. Example: walk, walked. Cook, cooked. Second, ends in letter e. Adds d. Example: bake, baked. Use, used. Third, end in consonant plus letter y. change Y to IED. Example, cry, cried, study, studied. Next ends in CVZ, double last letter plus ed. Example, stop, stopped, plan, planned. And then now, irregular verb. Verb that change the form slightly or completely. Some of them also does not change. First, change slightly. Example, become, became, drink, drank. Second, change completely. See, saw, go, went. And the last one is no change. Example, hit, hit, hurt, hurt.
Verbal simple past tense is a simple past tense that contains verb. The positive sentence of the verbal simple past tense has the structure subject plus verb to plus complement. For example, I received my packet yesterday. While the negative sentence from the verbal simple past tense has the structure subject plus did not plus verb 1. For example, I didn't receive my packet yesterday. The positive form of the interrogative sentence has the following structure: did plus subject plus verb 1. For example, did I receive my packet yesterday? While the negative form of the interrogative sentence has the structure did not plus subject plus verb 1. For example, didn't I receive my packet yesterday? You can add question words such as when, how, where, why in front of the word did in interrogative sentence. Nominal simple past tense. Nominal simple past tense is a simple past tense that contains non-verbs such as object, adjective, adverb, etc. Nominal simple past tense use was or were. The use of was or were in a sentence is based on the subject. You can use was if the subject is I, she, he, or it. However, if the subject is we, you, or they, you can replace it with were. The positive sentence of the nominal simple past tense has the structure subject plus was or were plus non-verb. For example, he was a famous actor. For the negative sentence, you can add not afterwards or were. So, the structure is subject plus was or were not plus non-verb. For example, he wasn't a famous actor. The positive form of the interrogative sentence has the following structure: was or were plus subject plus non-verb. For example, was he a famous actor? While the negative form of the interrogative sentence has the structure was or were not plus subject plus verb 1. For example, wasn't he a famous actor? In interrogative sentences, you can add question words such as when, how, where, why in front of was or were. Passive sentences in the simple past tense have the following structure. Affirmative form consists of object plus was or were plus verb 3. Question form consists of was or were plus object plus verb 3. Changing an assertive sentence into the passive. For example, active, he wrote a letter. Passive, a letter was written by him. Active, they knew it. Passive, it was known to them. Changing a negative sentence into the passive. Active, she did not know anything about it. Passive, nothing about it was known to her. Active, nobody could discourage him from pursuing his path. Passive, he could not be discouraged
from pursuing his path by anybody. Changing an interrogative sentence into the passive. Passive forms of these sentences begin with did. If the active sentence begins with a question word, the passive sentence will also begin with a question word. If the active sentence begins with who or whose, the passive sentence will begin with by whom or by whose. If the active sentence begins with whom, the passive sentence will begin with who. For example, active, did he break the window? Passive, was the window broken by him? Active, why did he punish you? Passive, why were you punished by him?
Past continuous tense. It used to emphasize that something continued during certain period in the past. So, what make it different with past simple? Past simple is used for something happened in specific point in time in the past. Now, take a look at the timeline. If I say I started work at 9 a.m., that means I use past simple. Likewise, when I said I stopped work at 5 p.m. But when I say I was working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that means I use past continuous. Formula of past continuous tense. Positive. Subject plus was or were plus verb ing. Example, people were waiting. Negative. Subject plus was not or were not plus verb ing. Example, people were not waiting. Interrogative. If positive, question word plus was or were plus subject plus verb ing. Example, why were people waiting? If negative, question word plus was not or were not plus subject plus verb ing. Example, why were not people waiting? Don't forget to put the question mark in your interrogative sentence. So now, how to change the basic verb to the verb ing form? Here's some tips to make it easier. For the verbs that ends in consonant, we just have to put ing at the end. For example, walk become walking, and cook become cooking, etc. Second, if the word ends in letter E, we have to change E to ing. Examples, bake, become cooking, use, become using. Third, if the word ends in letters IE, we have to change IE to ying. For example, tie, become tying, and lie, become lying. And last, if the word ends in consonant vowel consonant, we have to write double last letter plus ing. Example, jog become jogging and plan become planning.
Now, let's look at when we can use the past continuous tense. We can use it to talk about an action that was continuing during a period of time. For example, Sarah was studying all day. The period of time in the sentence is all day. And where's our past continuous? Here, was studying. Next, we can also use this tense to talk about an action that was continuing during a particular moment in the past. For example, at 11 p.m. I was sleeping. What's the moment in the past? 11 p.m. Where is our past continuous? Here, was sleeping. Next, we can also use it to talk about an action that was continuing when it was interrupted. For example, they were having dinner when we arrived. Now, this is an interesting sentence because it actually has two past tenses. It has the past continuous, were having. This was continuing, they were having dinner when we arrived. So, this part here is that past simple. So, this action was continuing and then something happened in the middle. But when you want to show that something happened, you want to show what was going on at that time, we use our past continuous. So, those are the three basic ways in which we use this tense. But there are a couple of advanced ways. Let me just explain to you what they are. So, we can also use it sometimes to talk about an action that was planned. For example, I was planning to call John. I was thinking about it. I was planning to call John, but I didn't have time. So that means that at some time in the past, you were thinking about that. You are planning that. So that's where we use that past continuous. I was planning to. I didn't have time is, once again, our past simple because that's just at a particular point. You could also use this tense sometimes for a polite request with a particular expression that we use in English to make a polite request, and that expression is this one. I was wondering if you could help me. When we say I was wondering, that is past continuous. Alright, here, but it's just an expression that we use and it means, really, can you help me? Could you help me? That means I was thinking about this, if you could help me. Alright? So these are the basic way in which we can use this tense. Now, let's look at when we not to use the past continuous tense. So, in English, we have two kinds of verbs. Action verbs and stative verbs. Action verbs are verbs like work, study, run, cook, clean. Okay? And stative verbs describe some kind of state or condition. It could be a mental state, an emotional state, or something else. Let's look at an example. It is wrong to say, I was knowing him for many years. It is wrong to say Susan was hating spiders because hate is one of those emotional stative verbs and we cannot use it in the continuous form. It is also wrong to use a verb which describes ownership or possession or something that you have. For example, it's wrong to say they were owning a big house. We cannot say that. Also, these two very common verbs, it's incorrect to use them in the continuous form. We were wanting to call you. Nope, we can't say that. She was needing to catch her flight. No, that's wrong. We cannot say that correctly. Now, let's just go back for a second and look at this. So, in this case, we would have to just use the past simple. For example, we would say here, I knew him for many years. She hated spiders. They owned a big house. We wanted to call you. She was needed to catch the flight. Those are all examples of past simple. We cannot use this continuous form here with the stative verbs. There is one verb which is very interesting and very common which you should be aware of. And that's the verb to have. Now, to have sometimes has a stative meaning and sometimes it has a more dynamic meaning or action meaning. So, when it has a stative meaning, we cannot use it in this tense or in any continuous tense. But when it has other meaning, then we can. Let's look at one example. It is wrong to say he was having a computer. No, we would have to say he had a computer. But you could talk about something like this. He was having a party. He was having a good time. He was having fun. So, you have to pay attention to that verb to have. But what's the general takeaway? Here, don't use dative verbs with this tense.
The past perfect tense is sometimes called the past of the past, used to talk about things that happened first from two or more things which was all happened in the past. What makes it different with past simple? Let me explain why. Let's look at this timeline, alright? So, this is now and let's say it's 11 o'clock. So, everything before that is in the past. So, if we look at these sentences, we could say the meeting started at 9, okay? This is one sentence right now. Here's another sentence. We arrived at 10. Now, right now, this is not past perfect. These are just two simple sentences in the simple past or the past simple, right? The meeting started. We arrived. These are past simple sentences, and they are two separate sentences. But we are now going to connect them in a certain way. Let me show you. So, the past perfect sentence would be like this. When we arrived, right, at 10, the meeting had started. So, had started is the past perfect tense.
How to use past perfect tense? For the positive sentence, is subject plus had plus verb 3. For the example, I had moved to London when Sui became a singer. For the negative sentence, is subject plus had not plus verb 3. For the example, I hadn't moved to London when Sui became a singer. For the question is when or how or where or why plus had for the positive and had not for the negative and plus subject plus verb 3 plus question mark. For positive question, had I moved to London when Zui became a singer? And for the negative question, hadn't I moved to London when Zui became a singer? Past perfect continuous tense. Past perfect continuous tense is used to be talk about something that started in the past and continue in the past, but everything is in the past. For positive sentence is subject plus had been plus verb ing. The example, she had been walking. Negative sentence, subject plus had not been plus verb ing. The example, she hadn't been walking. For the question is when or how or where or why plus had for the positive and had not for the negative plus subject plus been plus verb ing plus question mark. The example for the positive question, had she been walking? For the negative question, hadn't she been walking?
Because we have already reached the end of our lessons today, let's do a quick review. Let's see on this sentence that we have here. I, using the verb visit, lots of interesting places. Let's change this sentence to simple past, continuous past, perfect past, and perfect continuous past. Using verb to, we can change the sentence to past tense. I visited lots of interesting places last winter. Next, by using was were plus verb ing, we can change to the past continuous tense. I was visiting lots of interesting places from January to March. And then, by using had plus verb 3, we can make it to past perfect. I had visited lots of interesting places when the winter came. And lastly, by using had been plus verb ing, we can change it to past perfect continuous. I had been visiting lots of interesting places in winter. And now let's change the past simple into its passive form. That's right, we only have to exchange the subject and object positions. And then using was were plus verb 3. If you have any question, please write it down on the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.